One morning, many years ago, I woke up. My son was 6 and a half, he was almost 7. I was in the kitchen preparing to bring him to school, and all of a sudden, I heard him make this huge scream, and so I ran. And when I got at the edge of the kitchen, I could see he was facing one direction upward in a shock, and he was going down. So I ran and I grabbed him. And all of a sudden, he started shaking. I had no idea what was happening. So I'm holding him, I'm screaming. I was lost. I had no idea. I thought he was dying, literally. And I was screaming. I'm holding him. I'm feeling very, very desperate in this situation that I could not stop. I'm calling him over and over and over, and he was just shaking in my arms. And I'm just calling him. I'm crying. I'm calling. And then he stopped. And at that moment, I laid him down on the floor, and I ran and I grabbed my phone and I called 911. And I came back and I'm holding him. I'm calling him, and he is responding. So the paramedics arrived and they checked him, and they told me they thought that he had a seizure. And I was really shocked. So, cut long story short, they said we can bring him to the hospital. They can go check him up. Now, my son was born with a rare condition of the brain, and by that time he had had multiple brain surgeries. You and I have fluid in the brain. What happens is naturally the brain produces fluid which gets absorbed into our body system, and it keeps producing this fluid which keeps getting absorbed in our body system. Some people, like my son, whatever happened in his situation happened, and this fluid got trapped in one location of his brain. That is called hydrocephalus. So people who have hydrocephalus, um, who something happened that doesn't happen, the only difference is when that fluid gets trapped in one place and it's not draining from the brain like it's supposed to, then it forms hydrocephalus. And I'm just saying this in the simplest terms for anybody to understand what I'm saying. So in that situation, the neurosurgeons are able to go in there and poke a hole into that cyst. It's a fluid-filled cyst, or cysts if they are multiple, and then they place a shunt. And what that shunt does, it helps to drain that fluid, while you and I, it's draining naturally. For people with hydrocephalus, the shunt helps keep draining that fluid into the stomach cavities, and then it gets absorbed in the body system just like any other person. We do have people with hydrocephalus who you would never tell. They are professors, they are all kinds of professions, and you would not even know that they have hydrocephalus if it is well taken care of. If it's not well managed, I will talk about that on a separate day. So my son was born with hydrocephalus, and right away at birth, 5 days later, after they realized he was not dying like they expected, they placed a shunt. But with the complications, he developed multiple malfunctions, which meant he had many neuro surgeries by the time the seizure happened. When he was close to 7 years old, he had had multiple brain surgeries. So that's when the journey began for my son with seizures. And after that, he has had many other brain surgeries now, including seizure surgeries. Now, seizure surgeries are very complicated, and um, one of them took him 2 full years to recover. And what that means is he was constantly shaking, just a lot of symptoms that I will not go into right now. But for 2 years, he was recovering from one of the major surgeries he had for seizure to help with the seizures. And those surgeries have really, really helped. Today, I want to focus on this one thing: our reactions to difficulties, our reactions to shock, our reactions to when people are sick around us. Can you think of a time when you entered an environment and you felt really, really uncomfortable because you didn't know what to do? Or think of situations where people come together and there is a situation. For example, in dealing with seizures, I had to learn to pay attention to myself and to help myself calm down so that I could be able to help my son. And what helps with the process of changing and changing yourself is called developing self-awareness. And that's what I want to talk about today: self-awareness. What do you do when a situation happens around you that you feel helpless? I was talking with my mom's caregiver, with my mom having syncope, and she was saying, "Oh, this lasted for 15 minutes," and she was very. The two ladies, they were very scared. Um, they were completely submerged in emotions, crying, calling, screaming, everything. And so I'm just helping train her on how to prepare ahead of time for these shocking things when they happen around us. So what happens when you're in that situation? Can you think for yourself for one moment? When you encounter such a situation, what do you do? So developing consciously self-awareness. And what that means is taking time to reflect, taking a lot of time and being intentional about that, to reflect on yourself. Why do you feel the way you do? So, going through my chaplaincy training, where after you get your master's degree, you apply for clinical pastoral education, and that has been one of the most helpful things in my life, is going through that program where they train us, because as chaplains you are called for all sorts of situations. You are called when somebody dies in a car accident and the family show up in the emergency room and they are going through all kinds of shock situations, or when there's a suicide in the family and they bring the family member, they want the doctors to revive their loved one, and the doctors are working very hard. And as a chaplain, I'm trained to be with this family and help calm them down. So this is what I want to help you. Be aware of yourself. Here are some of the things that people do. Sometimes when people enter these situations and they feel like, what can I do to help? Some people become like Martha. In the Bible, we have two sisters who are friends of Jesus, and they were brothers of Lazarus, who Lazarus was Jesus' best friend. Mary was very calm. She was the person that was sitting at the feet of Jesus, trying to learn from him, trying to be who God made her to be. Martha was the sister who was very, very busy, which is the category of most people until you come to a place of reflecting and being intentional about becoming calm as a person. Most people feel helpless in times of situations. And the reason we feel helpless is because we are wired. I would say mostly men are wired to fix, but even women, we try to do something about the situation. And so the way we do that is by being very busy. I gotta do something. And so we become very busy. We wanna, sometimes we get caught up even in our ego. We wanna show people that we are doing something. And so we run up and down and we are very, very busy. And we miss the point. So this woman called Mary goes to sit at the feet of Jesus. She's listening to him and he's talking to her, and Martha is in the kitchen. Martha was not evil. She was like majority of us. She was there busy thinking, what would Jesus eat? How can I make the best meal for my Lord? Oh, I have to make a salad too. And I have to make a dessert because this is a very special guest in my house. She was busy serving the Lord. But the Lord calls her out and tells her, you have missed the point. The most important thing is to be. It's not to do all this busy work that we get caught up. Those busy works that we do are about ourselves. It's about self-fulfillment. But the practice of being is what the Lord is calling us, because that is the place of service. The place of service is from learning to be. And Jesus points that out by telling Martha, Mary has chosen the best part, and that's just being. So when we go where people are suffering, we tend to become busy. Sometimes it's with our words. And here is especially coming from the culture of Kenya, where people are very trained, even in the church. The churches tell people, you gotta encourage people. Tell them they'll be fine. Tell them they'll be okay. That's encouraging them. No, that is deceiving them, because you don't have the ability to make them fine. So you are promising them something that you cannot deliver. Let me tell you how to approach that situation. Come from a place of listening. Many times, the person who is sick is telling you what is happening with them. But we don't take time to listen to the people. We want to show them that we care. And so we want to show them that we care. So we tell them what we think they want to hear. But we don't take time to listen to what they are telling us. What are they telling us about what is happening with them? Why are we responding the way we are responding? Is it because of that person, or is it because you are uncomfortable with yourself and so you're trying to fill the air with all these words? That's one way that we fill the space. It's with words. We say so many things without really thinking, why are we saying what we are saying? And the other thing is we become busy. We want to do this, do that, run, tell this person this, in that midst of the chaos, we want to do something. And here, let me tell you what really helps is listening. One of the things that has given me a lot of success as a chaplain is learning to listen. And many of the patients and families that I have served have told me, you are a listener. And that is a practice that I have developed over years, is listening, paying attention, looking to what is happening, what is needed. Okay, if you have somebody with dementia, or sometimes even you are helping the elderly, many times they will not tell you what they are feeling, because sometimes there's the dignity issue. Let's say, for example, somebody has always taken themselves to the bathroom. They know how to find the bathroom. You know how to find the bathroom. And all of a sudden, somebody who has dementia or is elderly is feeling like using the bathroom. Are you in tune to look at them and say, they are looking for something? And by their behavior, are you able to discern that they are looking for a bathroom? And with dignity, point that out to them. Go to them. Are you looking for a bathroom? And they'll tell you yes. And then you can tell them in a dignified way, let's go. I'll show you where it is. That's what self-awareness is being in tune with yourself. Many people will say, well, how do I tell a man whether he needs to use the bathroom? Now, you're thinking about yourself more than you're thinking about him. So with learning to be self-aware is being able to put yourself in a position where you can override your feelings and do what's needful for the people that you are trying to care for. So in short, self-awareness is being aware of yourself very well, knowing yourself very well, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, being in tune with your feelings at all times, and how they are interfering with your surroundings. Now, we are very interconnected as human beings. God wired us from the beginning to be very interconnected. We see it with the Holy Trinity, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, 3 in 1, always in perfect unity. And then God created man to be in relationship with him, and with one another. He created Adam, and then he created for him Eve so that they could be in relationship. And here is a trial relationship, God with man and his wife. And then interconnected with the entire creation. God said, tend the creation. And so man was given the responsibility. And so here is the interconnection. There's God, there's human beings, and there's the rest of the creation. And we are very interconnected. And self-awareness helps you be in tune with all these things at the same time. Be listening to Holy Spirit, asking, what should I do about this situation? Be listening to the person that you are trying to help. What are they saying? What do they really need? Not what you think they want to hear, but what do they really need from you? And then be in tune with the rest of the environment and your abilities. What am I able to do? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How is how I'm feeling affecting what I'm doing, instead of doing what is needed for the person that I'm caring for? So this is what self-awareness helps with. So when you enter a room, for example, you can enter a room and you start to notice that in that room, something in the room makes you uncomfortable. For example, as a chaplain, I go to people's homes. So, and I'm currently actually very casual on my chaplain role. I am also a professor, so I teach in a Christian Bible college. And so I'm teaching pastors and missionaries, and it's such an honor and privilege. And that's what I'm doing a lot of, as well as going to school. But when you enter a room, and as a chaplain, I go to people's homes, and the first thing, I'm in tune with everything in the surrounding, because that helps me discern a lot about the person that I'm going to minister to. So you notice an image of a snake on the wall. Personally, I don't have a good relationship with snakes. So when I notice a snake on the wall, already I'm in tune that I don't like this environment. But right away, because of self-awareness, I don't like this being here. But wait a minute, why am I here? It's not about myself. It's about the person that I'm going to visit and support. And so right there and then, I calm my emotions down. I calm my thoughts and I calm myself and I say, how can I best be here for this person? This is not my house. This is their house. So they can do whatever they want with their house. And how can I best support them? That's the practice of self-awareness. And today I want to encourage you, as you care for your loved ones, as you care for those the Lord has placed in your life, practice self-awareness. Practice being able to discern what that person needs and how can you best be there for that person instead of being led by your emotions. When you see a situation that you can't handle, how are you feeling? Pay attention to how you are feeling, because that will help you realize when you are doing things for yourself or when you are doing things for the person who you are caring for. And many times when we are not self-aware, we do things for ourselves, but really our minds deceive us that we are doing it for the other person. When we get there, we feel helpless and we start to say, you'll be well, you'll be well, you'll be well, you're going to be okay, you're strong. Are we really giving ourselves time to think, why are we saying what we are saying? Are we even asking that person, how are you feeling? Here's my clue. Go ask them, how are you feeling? What can I do for you? What would you like me to do right now? What would be helpful for me to do? And listen to them. And when they are telling you something, don't start correcting them and telling them, no, don't say that. Don't say that. God says, da 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 da. That's spiritual abuse. This person knows what God says. They know their Bible. They may know their Bible more than you. And you know what? They are hearing God. Why don't you respect what they are hearing instead of telling them what God says? Ask them, listen to them. If they tell you something, ask them more questions so that you can understand where they are coming from. In my work as a chaplain, I have met people, for example, who have come in terms with their mortality. They realize their quality of life is gone. They realize they are in pain. They look and they realize that they have fulfilled their purpose. Some people get to that place. Not everybody gets to that place, but there are some people who get to that place. And they'll tell you what they want. I want you to pray for me to go to be with Jesus. How am I, as a minister, not going to pray for them to go and be with Jesus? But we are uncomfortable with death. So we tell people, no, you can't say that. God don't want you to die. Is that you being uncomfortable? Or is that what God is telling you about that specific person that you are ministering to? So self-awareness helps you discern for yourself. Sometimes we get so busy doing things that God has not called us to do. We do things that are for God, and we abandon the things that God is calling us to do. So I want to call to your attention to think about yourself. Take time to reflect on yourself, on your feelings, on your intentions. Intentions, very, very big. Why are you doing what you are doing? Family members will tell me, I'm feeling relieved that my mom or my dad or my uncle or my aunt is now with Jesus, that they have died, that they have crossed over. But I'm afraid to say that because that might, why am I feeling this way? Am I okay? Am I supposed to be feeling relieved? So sometimes we do things because we are thinking in terms of what the culture expects us to feel. Well, when somebody dies, our culture says you should be sad, you should be crying, and you should be doing this, you should be doing that. So sometimes when people feel relieved, they are afraid to admit that they are feeling relieved. Sometimes when people are struggling with where should I be when my loved one is going through this and this, they are afraid to admit that because they think that the culture expects them to behave or to be in a certain place or to behave a certain way. But we have to be self-aware to ask, am I doing this to please the culture? Am I doing this to please the people? And I'm calling you to getting to that place where you are so self-aware that you are not worried about pleasing people, but you are worried about pleasing God and about giving the best that you can for your loved one. My peace comes in knowing I have done the best that I know, whether it's for my son, whether it's for my mom, whether it's for my patients that I'm assigned to, whether it's for my students as a professor, where my students share with me their struggles. And I support them the best way that I can. But I know that I'm not God. I can't change a situation for everybody. And so for me to be an effective minister, I have learned what is mine and what is not mine. What is God's, I leave to God to deal with. I do the best that I know in whatever situations God has placed me. And that is where my peace comes from. So I want to encourage you to develop in self-awareness so that you're not driving yourself crazy for your community or even for yourself because you don't understand yourself well. Reflect and ask yourself, why am I doing what I am doing? Is it because I'm uncomfortable, or is it because that is what my loved one needs from me right now? God bless you.